All advice given is for general information purposes. All legal cases are different, and you should seek the advice of your own attorney before acting or making decisions. No attorney-client privilege applies to communications on this show, and no attorney-client relationship is created by calling or writing in. Attorney Rominger practices only in Pennsylvania and maintains his primary office in Carlisle, Pennsylvania.
Hey, welcome back. Carl Rominger here, answering your legal questions. Just kicking back with a little Utica Club here. Found that in the refrigerator. I haven't heard of Utica Club before, but if you're a Utica Club drinker, call in, tell me all about your experiences. I'd be curious to know. And I just posted a picture, maybe with my boots up on the diocese here, so that RJ can see in his germophobic ways what it looks like when dirty boots are in the station. And I dare say these boots are dirtier than normal. 540-0580. Before I start answering your legal questions, I have to tell you guys, I was a little late for the show today. Some of you already probably heard. I was down in Maryland at the invitation of the Stony Valley Outfitters. And that's run by one Brent Shickley, president of Stony Valley Outfitters. And he was there with his trusty assistant guide, Matthew Scott. And those two fellas ran a really good hunt this morning. They showed us some ducks. We took a look at some geese. But we were actually shot a deer, two deer this afternoon, right before I was to leave. And I said to the other fella, because the two of us who were getting guided by Stony Valley Outfitters, I said, the only thing that could go wrong is we could actually shoot a deer here in the last 15 minutes, and then we'll be late for where we have to be. And sure enough, with 5 minutes to go, we each shot a deer. So I want to put a big shout-out to the Stony Valley Outfitters, Brent Shickley. If you want to book your hunt for next year, he hunts Maryland, New York some years, Pennsylvania every probably one of the best hunters in all of Dauphin. So if at least that's what he tells me. So if anybody from Dauphin has a better hunter, let me know. Anyhow, seriously though, great hunt. Thank you guys. And they even loaded my gun for me. So I didn't really have to do any of the work except maybe skin the deer. And I think I have to do that tomorrow morning. Wow, that'll be skun already, but we're going to have to take care of it. We have to process that meat, and we did have to field dress it. So I didn't get a completely guided hunt, and that's why the tip was a little light. 540-0580. Ryan, you're on the air.
All right. Well, I had a question, actually, a complicated case. I actually am dealing with trying to get me with a possession of a firearm, and I was confirmed by the police and everybody in the back seat, intoxicated. I had crawled to the front seat. And they found a firearm in the vehicle, which is from the father's vehicle and my father's firearm.
Mm-hmm.
And the officer is actually trying to get me with possession of a firearm and trying to offer me 2 years in a state prison with 3 years probation. And I didn't even know the firearm was in the vehicle.
Well, if you don't know the firearm's in the vehicle, then you're not guilty of anything. Possession requires two things. It requires that it either literally be on your person, okay? So if I'm holding my cell phone, we would say that I possess it, right?
Okay.
If I am in a car and somebody else's cell phone is in the car, I would only possess it if I had access to and power to control it, okay? And I do because it's sitting in the dash, so I could pick it up and use it, but I also have to have the intent to use it. And it's from the totality of the circumstances. And there even is in the gun statute some leeway because the gun statute itself recognizes that people may leave guns in cars for certain periods of time. And this came up years ago when people were afraid that their wife was going to get in trouble because they would leave their handgun under the seat. She wouldn't know it was there, and a police officer would pull them over, and somehow there'd be a problem. Now, I'm not saying that's immediately a defense to you, but the law has already recognized that this can be an issue. So the constructive possession is going to be a fact-specific case. So I'll give you an example. If the officer says, well, he was sweating bullets and he seemed nervous, and I thought I saw him reach under the seat once in the same area where I found the gun, and when we took the gun to the lab, we found his fingerprints on it, well, I think you're cooked, right? Because you had access and power and control and looks like intent from the totality of the circumstances. On the other hand, I had a great case where they pulled a guy over and they found a gun in the dashboard, in the glove box. And he was a known gangster of some sorts, you know what I mean? In other words, the police had their eye on him for some other things and believed he was involved in some nefarious activities. So they arrested him for possession of the firearm. Again, same deal. We're going to put you in state prison for years because you're a felon not to possess. Of course, him being the felon is probably why they knew him to be a retrograde of sorts. And I'm like, how are you going to prove it, guys? Well, it was in the dash. I'm like, yeah, of whose car? His girlfriend's car. And the gun doesn't seem to belong to anybody, and you can only put him behind that car that night driving it. She was in the car as well. And it was in the dash. It was in the dash, and you have no fingerprints. You have nothing. She might have known it was there. Talk to her. But she's not saying that he knew it was there, and you have no way to prove he knew it was there.
All right.
Those are winnable cases.
And I have no previous record as well, nor do I have anything preventing me from getting.
You have no previous record? They want to offer you 2 years?
Nope, and I have nothing preventing me from getting a permit.
And they're saying you just weren't licensed? Wow, that's a terrible deal. Even if you were going to take a deal, that would be a terrible deal then. I hope your lawyer's not recommending it.
Oh, no, my lawyer was like, that's just what they're offering you, and I said, no.
Yeah, I would say no, but I don't have all the facts, so you go with your lawyer's advice based on their knowledge of all the facts, and if at some point they tell you need to plead guilty, you may have to think about it because maybe they know something you or I aren't discussing here right now, but based on what you've told me, if you have no prior record, there's no way to prove that you knew the gun was there, I would take that to a jury trial any day of the week. I had one I did take to a jury trial. We got a hung jury. They were 10 to acquit and 2 to convict, which is always interesting. But my guy was found, according to the police, by a shotgun, and he was a felon not to possess. I was able to establish during the defense that the shotgun belonged to a guy who lived in a room upstairs, who rented a space, who was a deer hunter, and it was right after deer season, and he was in the process of moving out, so he had moved all his possessions down to the living room because they were getting a truck, and I had a girl who was going to say that they'd gone to pick up a pickup truck, so they were going to load up the truck to move this guy's stuff out. And in the meantime, the federales served a search warrant because they'd been told that there was some marijuana in the house. Of course, they found no marijuana, but as the CERT team entered and threw people on the ground, they threw my guy on the ground right next to the gun, and the prosecutor brought the first guy in the door, but not the 8th guy in the door, because the first guy in the door... the 8th guy and not the first guy. And the 8th guy said, yeah, when I got in there, he was on the ground by the gun. But if they'd have brought the first guy in, the first guy would have said he was coming down the stairs and I threw him on the ground. My point being is it was clearly a case where constructive possession was being tried because they didn't find the marijuana they were hoping to get, and they were just trying to jam a guy up. But it didn't work because 10 out of 12 jurors just weren't buying it. The other 2, I guess they were just potted plants.
Okay. All right, well, thank you.
All right, my friend.
All right, have a good day.
All right. 540-0580. I feel bad for that guy. I hope that's not advice to plead guilty based on what he's telling us. Of course, sometimes facts aren't always revealed to the lawyer. Sometimes facts become known later, and that can be a problem. 540-0580. Austin, you're on the air. Austin.
Yes.
What's going on?
Hey, I got a question, a real estate transaction question, a private installment sales agreement where the actual homeowner, the seller, is being represented by his power of attorney.
Okay.
My question is, with the deed remaining in the home seller's name until we make the 5-year balloon payment, if within that 5 years something would happen to the homeowner who's in a nursing home, requiring the state to kick in, I'm just wondering what liabilities there might be with the property if they want to make a lien on the property.
If the nursing home wants to put a lien on it.
Right.
Well, what happens is when you go in the nursing home, if the nursing home is collecting Medicaid on your behalf, then that becomes a welfare lien against the sale of the property, and it has to be satisfied before the property at the time the property's sold.
Okay, at this time that's not the case. He's not requiring any assistance from the state. I'm just wondering what might happen if within the time that we need to make the balloon payment that happens. Are they able to make a lien on the property if we have a recorded contract?
If you have a recorded mortgage, let me ask it this way. Do you have a deed or no?
I would not have the deed. It would stay in the seller's name until the 5-year payoff.
Right. So you got a sales agreement of the 5-year balloon. I think as long as it's legitimate, welfare would just have to wait for the 5-year balloon.
Okay.
I think that's the simple answer. Now, if they were to decide later that somehow this transaction was being structured to try to snooker them, which doesn't sound like it, but if that was the case, then they could probably walk around any documents you might have. But it sounds like an arm's length transaction. A lot of private, and for people who don't know, a lot of times when we write private mortgages, a 5-year balloon's quite often in there because little people, meaning you and I, don't want to hold 30-year notes. Banks do because they last longer than we do.
Right.
A 5-year balloon allows you to earn some interest on it, but know that your money's going to get untied up when you're the mortgagee. And the mortgagee is the person who loans the money. The mortgagor is the person who borrows the money.
Right.
All right, my friend, I got to go to break.
All right, thank you.
All right, 540-0580. Welcome back. Carl Rominger here, 540-0580. Just taking legal questions here as we go. Ann, you're on the air.
Oh, boy, I don't know if I'm ready for this one, but here goes.
Shoot.
I've got a group of individuals that are destroying everything I've got, including vehicles by fire and putting stuff in the oil. They've destroyed 2 vehicles this year or last year, and not even a year yet. And then they've gotten into a third one now, and they've broken a window on a rental vehicle. And I'm in danger of losing my insurance, and they've already been in my house for 7 years. State police aren't doing anything to them, and they think it's a joke. And sheriff's office was in the house, and they saw the damage and everything they did. And like I said, the state police wouldn't even go near the house to look. And I'm in a quandary. Don't know what to do yet. They wiped me out financially, mentally, and everything.
Well, why are these people doing this to you?
It's a hate crime.
Okay.
I gave one of their members a finger years ago when I came back from my son's funeral, and he started harassing me in the rain with his fat brother walking up the road. He was a young punk living across the street with Mommy Dearest and 3 others just like him.
So we got a Hatfield-McCoy situation going on here.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I didn't do anything to them other than that. And he started cussing me out, and, I returned it. And now this is the payback. He's been in 2 houses 1,000 miles apart, destroying everything and stealing.
Well, my thought on the matter is, you could possibly pursue civil remedies, potentially a private criminal complaint. But if you can't get the police on your side, then it's rough.
Right.
All right?
Some of the police do know, in different areas, they do know that I'm not lying about all this.
This also would probably be some advice, and I know if they wipe you out financially, they did, but if you could get some cheap camera system that could record some of these things, getting a recording would go a long ways towards documenting it and making your civil suit or a subsequent criminal prosecution very easy, Ann.
Well, it's all over now. I couldn't even afford cameras then, and I did have the cameras, and they stole the computers.
Interesting.
I had a computer set up, and they stole that. They broke into the vehicle and they've stolen at least 7 or 8 computers.
Interesting.
That I know of. Yeah.
All right. Well, like I say, my best advice is think about a civil suit or contact the district attorney to see if they would get the police involved for you. Okay, Ann?
I did that before, and
you tried it all.
It just made it worse.
You tried it all. All right. Well, that's the best advice I got for you. So hopefully that works. 540-0580. Bill, you're on the air.
Yeah, hi. I got a violation notice, and it's I have too many vehicles, so I registered them. Now, do I have to show the lady, the zoning officer, my registration cards?
It probably would behoove you just to convince them that you've done it.
Now, should I let her take a copy of them?
Well, you know what? It's not like she's going to enter it into any other database because PennDOT's already got them, so why not?
Okay. And at their meetings, they record their meetings.
Mm-hmm.
Is it possible that I can get a copy of the tape or I can listen to that tape?
You can get, at the meetings of a zoning board, they should record it, and you should be able to get a transcription of that recording, yes.
Yeah, but how about, they do. They give you like you can buy a copy of the minutes, but
You want a copy of the actual recording?
Yeah, well, I can request a copy.
I think you can get a copy of the recording. Yeah, and a right to know. I think you're entitled to that, and then you can listen to a zoning hearing board meeting twice.
Is it legal for me to take a recorder there and record?
I don't know the answer to that one. I would ask permission before I did it, and if they say no, then I would ask.
They have a sign saying that it's being recorded. So if I take mine there and put it out in the open and tell them it's being recorded, would that?
I don't think that would be a problem, but don't break the decorum of the meeting.
Meaning,
if they tell you no, then we'd retract. We'd work backwards and figure out how to do it, because you don't want to. You can't use self-help, and you can't. You don't want to be the guy taken out in shackles.
Right. So in other words, if they say no, don't do it. But then what? Try to figure out how you can do it. Right.
Or reach a detente with them. I mean, listen. Maybe the answer is they'll give you a copy of the official recording.
Well, what if it's like Watergate?
Listen, I'm going to tell you a secret here. Most zoning hearing boards, I'm going to say most because I'm sure it's happened before. Most code boards, town boards,
right?
There's not as much intrigue as you would imagine going on there.
Mm-hmm.
I know you're not believing me, but it's okay. Trust me.
All righty.
They're not doctoring the tapes yet.
Okay, well, that answers my question whether I should show her my owner's cards or not.
Yeah, might as well. And actually, you know what? Here's the answer. Obviously, you're having a little tiff with the enforcement officer, right?
Oh, well, yeah, with the township, period. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm gonna give you some. It's not life advice. It's just it's called if you comply with them as nicely as possible when necessary, and even if you're not in compliance, you figure out how to get into compliance and be kind about it and easygoing about it. Usually you'll find it de-escalates. People like to swat the fly, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And that's what you don't want to be. You don't want to be the biting insect. So you just, if she says, can I have proof of that? You're like, sure, here it is. And you'll find that after she determines that, hey, whenever I ask him for something, he produces it, she'll stop asking you for it and just ask you if you did it after a while.
Right.
And that's how it works. Now, is it possible you have a bureaucrat? And trust me, people work in government. I mean, there's all types. If it's possible you have a bureaucrat who is just picking on you, right?
Right.
It's quite possible. If you've seen the girl with the dragon tattoo, you'll know what I'm talking about with that bureaucrat. But my point is quite seriously, you try to de-escalate it because in the long run, you don't want to be the guy that, when the zoning officer drives by or the codes officer drives by or the police chief drives by, they look at your property for a reason to cite you. You want to get in the opposite direction where they don't even know your name. Or they know your name because...
After 18 years, that's a little hard.
Yeah, I understand. And that's... But, hey, I had a friend. He's dead now. But his favorite thing to do, he goes... I go for a walk every morning, and there's this other guy that comes by with his dog, and he goes, he's the meanest, orneryest person I've ever known in my entire life. And every time I walk by him, I say good morning and tell him what a great day it is. And he goes, I think it annoys him.
Okay.
But nobody's going to ever accuse me of being the one who soured the relationship. And I just thought that was funny, right?
Right.
All right, my friend.
All right, thank you.
All right, 540-0580. Beth, you're on the air.
Hi. I was just curious. If you have a felony shoplifting charge against you, what exactly does that mean?
It means that you committed more than one shoplifting charge, a third or subsequent, I believe, or you committed one with an amount that caused it to be graded as a felony, which I think is $2,000 or more.
Okay. As far as I know, it's his third charge, and the last one was $59 and something, but it says...
The third charge... See, the felony... The grading of retail theft goes up in two different ways. One is... The first charge is a summary, the second charge is a misdemeanor, and the third charge is a felony regardless of amount. But the amounts can bump it up sooner.
Okay.
Got it?
So what is he actually looking at then?
He's looking at jail time.
Like a lot, or?
Well, the prior record score would be important, the guideline range. He's probably looking at a couple months in county prison without, if he doesn't take it seriously and have his lawyer work something out for him.
Okay.
All right?
Okay. And can I ask you another quick question?
Yes, ma'am.
If somebody you know needs help, how can you legally help them? Like, it's not for anything against the law or anything. It's personal safety, health reasons. You know they need help. Is there any way or anything I could do to step in to help this person?
Yeah. Well, the answer is he's probably not crazy enough to be committed. And so, unfortunately, the fact that he's a kleptomaniac is probably not enough to get him committed.
Okay.
But you can still work with friends and family, and as friends and family, to try to do an intervention with him.
Yeah, we've tried that; it didn't work.
Yeah. Did you talk to a psychologist or a counselor to help arrange the intervention?
No.
And that would be my other step. Would be to call a therapist, like somebody out of the phone book, and say, "Hey, I've got somebody who's a kleptomaniac. They're on a self-destructive path. We wanted to do a intervention. We tried one; it didn't really work. But we're looking for some coaching on how to do one, and maybe you can get him an account. But if he doesn't want help, he doesn't want help, and that's the problem."
Okay.
I had a client who stole a lot of stuff from a lot of places, and it was really silly because he's a very wealthy man, and he's running around stores stealing Penn State T-shirts, and and wristbands and all kinds of weird, crazy things that are essentially worthless. And keeps getting caught. And the camera technology these days is very, very good. So, whereas people used to be able to sort of make excuses or claim confusion or all those good things. Very difficult to do these days.
Okay.
All right?
All right.
Sorry, Beth, that your friend needs help. Hopefully you guys will work it out and get this person what they need. But, you can lead a horse to water, but, you can't make them do.
Yeah.
All right?
Okay, thank you very much.
All right, bye. Mike, you want to talk about this magical ammunition?
Yeah. Carl.
For the callers or for the listeners who are just joining us in this hour, earlier today a guy called in and said that he had a bunch of ammunition he wanted to get rid of or needed to sell. I wasn't sure what to do, and he saw somebody posted an ad on Craigslist, and you're calling Mike to respond to that.
Yeah, in fact, I just came from a reputable auction house today that has pretty much a monthly gun sale, consignments, and they sold 230-some guns, but then after the guns, they sell consignment lots of, you name it, ammunition, bear traps, duck decoys, gun cases, anything related to hunting and fishing. So he could take it, there, consignment, they'll sell it, he'll get a check, he's done. And, there's hundreds of buyers there, he'll get fair market value for all of it.
Right. Thank you very much. Is there an address or number for this place?
Well, I don't have the number, but it's Horst, HORST Auction Center. It's on 322 just west of Ephrata.
Okay. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
All right. Yeah, he probably owns it. I got to go to break. All right, I'm just kidding. Well, Washington State has pumped out the information. You can possess and smoke pot in the privacy of your own home. So there you go. The Seattle Police Department just told their 1,300 police officers by email this week to, don't write anybody up for having marijuana. And if they have it outside their house, give them a friendly warning and remind them that they're just supposed to smoke it at home. Anyhow, 540-0580. We know it'll be legal here in Pennsylvania in a few years. I think the legislature's working on that right now. Patty, you're on the air.
Yes. Hi, Carl.
What's going on?
My question is kind of funny, I guess. You know the little sticker on the back of your license plate?
Yes.
The front to prove that you had your car registered. Does that legally have to be on there?
Supposedly. Yeah, that shows that your registration is current. And that's how the police know that your registration is current. So you're supposed to display it, yes. And I believe there is a failure to display a valid registration.
Yeah, but what about the front of the vehicle?
The front of the vehicle has to have a inspection ticket on it and an emissions ticket on it.
Correct. But is it so there is something in the statute that says that little sticker must be on your license?
Yeah, I don't know if it says literally that. I think it says you have to display proof of your current registration. which is why, by the way, when you don't have a license plate yet, and you don't have you can stick that piece of paper that PennDOT gives you to tape up in the back, or now you can print it off the internet and stick it up there, because you're displaying a valid registration. So if that makes sense, it's not the sticker so much as it effectuates a valid registration. But the only appropriate ones, probably by regulation, and I haven't looked this up, but I'm guessing, would be, the printout, the one with the little hologram on it that you get some places, like the dealership.
Yeah.
And then the third one would be that little sticker.
Well, I'm wondering if you could display it on the inside of the car.
I don't.
On your window.
Yeah, the answer is I think you're supposed to display it on the plate, and I'm sure there's a regulation somewhere there to that effect.
Okay.
But let me ask the question: are you just trying to get a DUI? I mean, what's the goal here?
The goal is that where I live, they peel them off.
Ah.
And so I'm tired of going to PennDOT to get them.
Got it.
You have to pay for it.
Got it.
So now I keep it in my car in case I get stopped. I can show it to them, but I didn't know if it was a legal thing.
I think it is, but boy, if I was a police officer and I pulled you over and I said, why on earth is your sticker up there? And you said, well, I've had 5 of them stolen in the last year, and I was one of 9 out of 10 reasonable police officers, I'd say, well, all right, I get it. But it's the 1 out of 10 who's going to say, I don't care.
Yeah, you're right, because I had 1 out of 10.
All right, Patty, interesting question. Interesting question.
Just in question.
I said, oh, you got another one?
Pardon?
I said, it's an interesting question. I said, you have another? Yeah, that was an interesting question.
Okay.
People ask questions on the show sometimes where I go, I never would have guessed that would be a question on this show. And that was one of them. All right?
All right.
All right, bye. 540-0580. Mike, you're on the air.
Good afternoon, Mr. Rominger. How you doing?
Good. Call me Carl.
All right, Carl. Sorry,
Mr. Rominger's my father, and he's dead, so we don't want to talk about him.
Oh, I'm sorry. My parents didn't respect into me, sir.
No, not at all.
Before it was illegal.
I was raised by my mother, not my father, so I can say that.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, I was thinking about doing a segment where we get my mom on the phone and let the callers ask her questions.
That would be a fun segment.
I think that would be fun. Oh, you might have to filter the questions a little bit. She's kind of a prude. All right, what do you want to know?
Got a question. I had some problems with my drain pipe, and once we got that issue solved, we figured out that a telecommunications provider had ran their lines through it.
Mm-hmm.
I submitted the claim to them, and they said it was a subcontractor, and they're taking care of it. And now I feel like it's just being drug out by the subcontractor. In your opinion, when do you think I need to consult a lawyer?
So they're in there supposedly fixing it.
We fixed it already because we wanted to be able to flush our toilets and whatnot.
Okay.
So we've submitted the claim to them along with photos and an itemized receipt for repair. So we're seeking reimbursement.
And how long has it been?
We had the work done on 30 November, and we started the claims process a few days later.
Okay, so it's been about a month. Did anybody give you time frames?
No, I haven't gotten any kind of time frames yet from the plumbing company that did the work, and they said they ran into this before. They said their customers have seen reimbursement in 2 to 6 weeks.
Gotcha. Well, we're not at 6 weeks yet, so give it a little bit longer. And when you get to 8 weeks, it's probably time to have somebody write a letter. How many dollars are we talking about here?
Say again?
How much dollar value are we talking about here?
Around $6,000.
Oh, well, okay. Then, yeah, it's absolutely... Wait till about 6 weeks, 7 weeks, and then it might be time to have somebody send a letter.
Okay.
Yeah. If it was like $600, and I know $600 is still a lot of money, but you start to really eat into a major percentage. If somebody says, I need $75 or $150 to handle this for you, you're eating up an eighth or a quarter of your money. At $6,000, even if the lawyer has to do a couple hours worth of work, you're still going to be well served.
Okay, yeah, that was the other part of the question is, I was against that initially because I didn't know if pardon the expression, juice would be worth the squeeze there.
Right, and that's the question. And here's the problem. I have a guy right now. He's waiting for the court to process his expungement, okay? Mm-hmm. So he wants his charges expunged, and he's entitled to one because he was found not guilty. So he keeps waiting to see it expunged, and he calls the courthouse, and they're like, well, the expungement department is way behind. And yes, we see you filed it in June, but we're not to it yet. And And,
right.
And you're like, wait, they filed it in June. It's January now. I guess they both begin with J's. Maybe that means something. But it sure seems to be taking an awful long time. And so, but his question for me was, well, and I was like, well, what did they tell you? And he said, well, they were going to be getting to it soon. And I'm like, well, I don't know what their version of soon means, but you might want to wait. If it's waited this long, wait a few more weeks. I said, but the irony is you'll probably hire me. I'll write the letter or do whatever we need to do. And 2 days after I write the letter, we'll discover that they expunged it the same day I was writing the letter.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's your little dilemma right now is, how long do you wait? But if you put your hands under your butt and sit on them for a few weeks, and then you wait a few more weeks and a few more weeks and a few more weeks, at some point, you're going to have to do something or just hope the money shows up, and maybe it will show up. But that's a lot of money to have uncertainty about. At least in my budget, that would cause me to want to know where it is and when I'm getting it.
I'm in the same situation, right? I've got a hold of the guy at the subcontractor, and I'm trying to get a name and claim number for their claims department, and I ping him about once a week. So
got it.
So I'm trying to stay on top of it, sir.
Yeah, and that's I'm just telling you, wait your period of time, and you got it right, Carl. Just wait a period of time, a little bit longer. So they said 2 to 6 weeks. I always tell people, like, you might have heard me earlier in the show to say to somebody, if it says it arrives in 4 to 6 weeks, don't freak out if it's not there in 6 weeks and 1 day.
Right.
But you get to 7, 8 weeks, then you got to start to wonder if it's really actually ever been shipped. And then you're looking for some proof. Well, here you're not quite at the outside range of people's previous experience, so. Once you're at the outside range of it, then you start to worry. And then you got to squeeze the lemon.
Right.
All right?
All right. Well, thank you for your help, sir.
All right, thank you. Hey, thank you. 540-0580. John. John, you're on the air.
Yes. Hi, Carl. How you doing today?
Good, man.
Fantastic. I just wanted to let you know, the lady that was on a few moments ago,
yes.
I believe her name was Patty. Yes, that is a state law. It is to be affixed on the license plate on the top left or top right-hand corner if possible, and there's a little indentation there.
Right.
And if somebody does peel them off, she does need to take her registration, her current registration certificate with her registration card into PennDOT, and she can get a new sticker. And I believe the sticker is, if I'm not mistaken, replacement sticker is $2. So hopefully she can get the police to maybe, catch them taking those stickers off her license plate, which is really asinine for someone to do.
Yeah, and I don't know.
Must be there.
I don't know. You wonder, is it a kid? But my understanding is people steal those so they can glue them on their own plate to give the illusion that they're current, right?
Yeah. If you can take a razor blade or sometimes a thin blade screwdriver, and you can peel them off. People they do it. They're careful, or they'll. A lot of people heat them up a little bit and take them off, which, and hopefully they get caught with it with a stolen sticker, which would certainly serve them right.
We've seen, by the way, over the years, a number of times where people scrap a car and they leave the license plate on it, and then the license plate ends up in Philadelphia driving around.
Yep, that happens a lot.
John's law enforcement, just in case anybody's wondering, so we will trust his knowledge here. Thank you very much.
Have a good day, sir.
You too. Happy New Year.
Same to you.
540-0580. Tom, you're on the air.
Carl?
Yep. I'm here.
Yes, I just briefly heard about the guy with the ammunition, and gentleman said about an auction house.
Yes.
Well, there's also, it's called armlist.com, and he can get on there and sell the ammunition. It's like a classified ads for ammunition, arms. Just click on Pennsylvania, and he can enter an ad. And depending on the type of ammunition, if it's like a 223, 556, he could probably do better than fair market. It seems to be the going ammunition right now.
Interesting. Well, 223, we know why.
Right.
All right, Tom. Thank you very much. Go to break.
Okay, thank you.
All right, man. 540-0580. Carl Rominger here answering your legal questions. If you need me throughout the week, go to romingerlaw.com or call us at 717-241-6070. Little Tom Petty. Shane, who was the actress that appears in this video? Do you know?
I have no idea.
Kim Basinger. You're a little young, but anyhow. It's well worth watching.
Oh, make sure I YouTube that.
YouTube, that's right. YouTube that, you young person, you. Glenn, you're on the air. Hey, Glenn.
Hey, Carl, how you doing?
Good.
Hey, I have a question for you. Me and my buddy, we have a small part-time gun business. Most of our business is done online. What happened back in March is we purchased a gun from a guy in New Hampshire, sent him the money. He never sent the gun.
Yeah.
Subsequently, I was in contact with the local police. They seemed to fiddle-faddle around, and then I contacted the detective at the state police, and he took care of some things for me, got the ball rolling a little bit more. And what had eventually happened, it was turned over to the, I think they called it their district attorney or their county attorney.
State's attorney or?
Yeah, well, whoever the public attorney would have been in that area or however it's done. But anyways, when I spoke to them, they said that there was like 4 other people that he'd done this to, and they were investigating it. And what I'm wondering is, was back in March now. We're almost coming up on a year on things. Is there anything on our end in Pennsylvania that we should be doing, or would it all be handled in New Hampshire?
It'll probably be all handled up there because that's where the guy is. Partly the crime occurred here, so theoretically there's a link to it. But in my experience with these kinds of scams, they usually go after the person there. How much money are we talking about?
$2,000.
Yeah, that's a lot of. Now, I'm hindsight being what it is. Have you guys developed a way not to send people money before you get the gun?
No, well, we've been doing it this way for like 3 years. We've bought hundreds of guns over the internet this way. This is the first time. I can honestly say that 99% of the people you deal with, when it comes to firearms, are honest.
And here's the thing. There are websites like hr2.com, okay, and some other ones where you can set up a transaction where they hold the money, then the person ships it. When you confirm receipt or the shipping people confirm receipt, etc., then they release the funds. That's something you could use in the future, but they charge a transaction fee. And, of course, if you tell me you've done it thousands of times and this is the only time you've gotten nipped, you're probably ahead of the transaction fee. But that is if you have another one in the future where something seems a little sketchy or the amount is particularly large, you may want to consider using an escrow agent like that. And that's just a little side note. But as for doing anything here in PA, I don't think so. The local authorities sound like they're investigating it and they're going after them. But whether you ever get your money back is a whole other story.
Well, and here's what I was wondering too. We were pushing for criminal charges. Would you think that would be criminal, or would that fall under a civil suit?
It's criminal if he did it knowing he was never going to send you the money.
Okay.
If somebody enters into a contract and then through no fault of their own, just runs, I say no fault, but maybe fault of their own, but they literally just run out of money, but they didn't intend for that to happen, then it's probably not criminal. It's more civil in character.
Okay.
All right.
But the fact that
listen, if the police say to you he wants to give you back the money and we're going to get the money for you, but we're not going to charge him, then all you care about is let society take care of itself. You want to get your money back.
Yeah, basically that's all we're worried. If that guy would call us up tomorrow and say, "Hey, I'm sending," I'd be fine with that. He said, "Hey, I'm sending you your money tomorrow."
Right.
I'd be like, "Good, thanks. Send it in. We're good as gold."
Right.
But all right, yeah, I was just wondering if there was any part on our end here to pursue, because it seems like it's really dragging up there in New Hampshire, and I didn't know, does this kind of thing usually take a long time when they're investigating? Like, I think they said there's 4 other people they did that to. So is that usually
that can slow things down, but it doesn't seem like a 1-year case in my mind. So and you run into these other problems like. The police officer is working on it. It gets pulled into something else, more priority. Some police officers just don't like to do financial crimes because they're tedious. It's not as exciting as breaking up a fight and cuffing somebody. So there's a lot of reasons why things can get waylaid, but that doesn't seem like a long time. The flip side is you're kind of at their mercy because they're really your agent up there who's going to help you. So I always say you don't want to kick the guy who's supposed to be helping you. A friendly reminder or an occasional prod is probably the best way to go, but a screaming match obviously isn't going to help. So
here's what prompted me to contact the state police and the detective up there.
Yeah.
Because when this guy, he was kind of smug about it. I told him, well, if you don't, send us the gun or the money, I'm going to call the police. And he said, go ahead, call the police. They're my friends.
Right.
And then it ended up, I wasn't getting anywhere with the local police.
And then you wonder.
For like 4 or 5 months, I didn't get anywhere with the. So I went and called the state police and got in contact with the detective, and then he kind of got the ball rolling. And so.
Good. Sounds like you're on track.
Okay.
Sounds like you're on track. But consider what I'm talking about for potentially escrowing for the future, because if you get bit a couple times like this, that comes right out of your profitability, and that's the problem.
Yeah, but, the whole thing, nobody wants to deal with their escrow service. If you tell somebody, I want to buy your firearm, but I want to escrow, and they're going to be like, I'm not going to bother with that.
So it's a business, yeah.
Because I got 10 other people who will buy who don't want to do the escrow.
It sounds like sometimes I know people that buy antiques. They'll say, if I don't use cash, I'll lose, because there's a lot of people who are selling antiques and they don't want checks. They want to make sure they're getting their cash. So I understand what you're saying in those areas. When people are selling things, probably there's two reasons. One is they need cash or want cash a lot of times, or money fast, sooner rather than later. And number two, you're right, they're going to go somewhere. So it's a business decision. But I just offer it up as an alternative if you get kind of maybe the heebie-jeebies in the future with somebody.
I've dealt with escrow, and like I said, we've dealt with that before, and I can tell you from what we dealt with, everybody's like, I don't even want to be bothered with that. I can get the next guy who will buy it and send me the money right away. I don't have to mess around.
Right.
Okay. Thanks a lot, Carl. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
All right, bye. Let's see. Donald, you're on the air. Hey, Donald.
Hi, Carl.
How are you?
Pretty good today. How you doing?
Not too bad. What's going on?
Well, I had a case with my wife. She had an accident, and she filed a claim. And they made her an offer, or they wanted to settle for a certain amount. And she had a few more things she couldn't get a hold of to add on to it, which was loss of wages with like 4 or 5 weeks. And there was a finger, and she had to have the rings resized.
Mm-hmm.
So trying to get that together. So anyhow, it got strung out longer than it should have. And so we just talked to him about, she decided to settle for it because the company was out of state that had the information on her wages. So she decided to settle. And we didn't hear from her. We sent the letter in and had her notarized signature on everything. So here we call them, and it's not in the same person's hand who's handling the claim for this place.
Mm-hmm.
It was a store, and so at the person there, they hadn't got the letter with the notified letter.
So
he
how long ago?
told me that he thinks it's the statute of limitations is too late now.
How long ago did the accident happen?
Well, the accident happened in what year was it, bro?
9.
It was 2009. But we made the claim about 3 months after it happened.
Made a claim with who?
With the people that's handling the.
But you never filed anything in court.
No.
Okay. The statute of limitations runs out if you don't file something in court within 2 years of the date of the accident. So just filing a claim with an insurance company or filling out paperwork does not extend the statute of limitations.
So it's still. So I'm within it then, right?
Well, if it happened in 2009...
It sounds like they're telling me that the statute of limitations has run out on the offer they're making us.
Well, if it's 2009 when the incident happened, the statute of limitations for tort or negligence is over already, because that would have ended in 2011.
I think that's what he said, like 2 years or something like that.
Yep. So you're past the statute of limitations, so you're without a legal remedy. Now, depending on who you were...
I filed the claim within the year of the accident happened. It happened in March, I think we filed it.
Filing of a claim does not toll the statute of limitations. You have to file the lawsuit with the court.
Oh, so it has to be with the court.
Yep.
Yeah. I have a nephew that's a lawyer, but he's not in Pennsylvania. And he told me that the claim, it's litigation, even though it's not filed by a lawyer, an individual, because that's a good thing to do if it's a small claim. And this is like not even $3,000.
Right. And if you'd filed it with a court, you'd have saved the statute of limitations. But if you don't file it with a court, then you don't save the statute of limitations. Okay?
Yeah, but the statute of limitations is in 2 years to file a claim, right?
You have 2 years to file with the court a claim, not with the insurance company or the other side.
Oh, so by her waiting around trying to get her wages added to it, and
right.
Because it wasn't with it the first time.
Yep.
Filed it.
Yep. Once 2 years pass, you're out of luck.
Is that right?
Yep. Gotta go. Carl Rominger here. Been answering legal questions. Go to RomingerLaw.com. Join me on Facebook. It's Carl with a K. Last name's Rominger, Rominger. Friend me. You can get in on our exclusive content. Maybe see the deer I shot this morning. And go to RomingerLaw.com if you want to look us up. See you next week.